Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and we've got a smiling face on the screen there, Bo Polny, joining us back on the show today. Bo, it's an honor and pleasure to have you back on.
Noah, thank you for doing this interview with me. So I think we're at a really critical point in the world. Love speaking with you, Noah. So thank you for having me back.
Yeah, we love having you here. And we have a lot of questions from people, and we're going to get to those. And I should say, as we start here, it's July 23rd. Always good to mark the date that we're on, especially when we have the analyst of time himself on the show. So Bo's going to talk about a lot of dates, but we're recording this. And if you see this online somewhere, we're recording this on July 23rd, 2021. And Bo, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in here. This is going to be kind of an update to our interview from last time. So if you haven't seen our last interview, I'm going to put a link to that down below. You can watch that interview. It's going to be a little bit longer interview. We go through a lot in that one. This is an update. We're going to answer some questions. We're going to tell you where we're at in the cycle of time. And I'm also going to put Bo's slides underneath the video here. These things, as always, are beautiful. And there's so much in here that we can't possibly get to everything in one interview. So go ahead and download these slides, save them to your computer and read them yourself. And you're going to find so much good in here. Bo, as always, awesome job with the slides.
Thanks, Noah. Yeah, mainly what I did was I haven't changed our presentation of last, so it's exact same presentation. All I changed was page one. Page one is updated to give you and your viewers more of a visual as to what God showed me or what I believe is a biblical cycle that's in play right now. This is, like we talked last time, I was talking about angles and degrees and how these specific angles and how these specific degrees tie in with time. So yes. In essence, what I did was I took a protractor and just laid out, so key time points for the world to look at, and you'll understand how God works. God is a God of time. He works in precise timing, and he's a God of seasons. And so time works within seasons. And so that's what we've got. We're in biblical timelines, as we've spoken many times in many prior interviews, but where are we? And so I wanted to update the world as to what I'm getting and what I feel our world is currently at and how things are about to change. So page one is a beautiful summary with the yellow arrow labeling or pointing to 60 degrees or 60 days, which would be this weekend, Sunday, July 25, because today we're speaking on Friday, the 23rd. So when you look at that, the key starting point would be the far right side of the page, and that starts on May 26th. And Noah, if you mind taking a quick little scroll over to page 36 that we talked about last time, because I just wanted for the new viewers just to get an understanding of why May 26th of 21 is such an important date. And you'll understand here that May 26th lined up biblically and prophetically with key critical timelines, both forwards and backwards relative to eclipses. This is by God's design. And if you think this is random, I don't know what you might be smoking, but the fact that you look at these dates, you go backwards 694 days and forwards 694 days and backwards 1,904 days and forwards 1,904 days, and you're landing on eclipses. If that isn't by design, I don't know what to tell you. So May 26th backwards 400 days, just like Israel being released from bondage from Pharaoh, that was 400 years. So 400 is a very powerful number prophetically. 400 days takes us to April 20th, 21st of 2020, last year, when oil went to zero, or actually negative 38, first time in history. So that was a prophetic time point for the financial system. And then it's just a nutshell backwards again, 3.5 year backwards, 1,260 days, which is a half of a Daniel cycle, biblical cycle, to the exact day Trump wins the election.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, go ahead.
No, but we watched a lot of those dates come live with you as you were saying. Watch out, something big's going to happen on these dates, and it sure did. Bo, let's go back up to your
Yeah.
new compass here because this is really great what you put together.
Right.
And
So May 26th, the reason that's an important day because spiritually, that is the date that God's new era began spiritually, but not in the real, in the physical. And that's what we're all waiting for. Go ahead, Noah.
and those are a lot of the questions that I have from people. It feels like everybody is just waiting for something to happen. We all sense it, we can all feel it, and we're all waiting for, is today going to be the day? And it's because we're in that season, isn't it?
God has precise timelines. That's what's important to understand. There are precise timelines, and so nothing's going to happen until a precise timeline hits. So, when you look at what could be a precise timeline, well, the best way to analyze time, right, would be looking at a protractor. A protractor, 180 degrees, would be the exact opposite. So you're heading so when you're driving, if you're driving 180 degrees in the opposite direction, you're going in the opposite direction. Get it? At 90 degrees, you'd be straight up, which means that everything that's happened is basically at a standstill and a massive shift is about to start and and develop. So that's how you want to look at biblical time right now, this year, 21 head into 2022. So that cycle started on May 26th, like we talked about. We got to 30 days and we got to 40 days. At 40 days precisely was July 4th, July 5th, depending on the time zone you're looking at, Israel or US. On July 4th is when there was that the big gathering of the prophets in Nashville.
Yep.
Okay. And so July 4th was 40 days with the gathering of the prophets. And that was when Kuhneman stated, something grand is taking place. Let there be a new song, a shift to the nation. So that was stated on July 4th. 4 days later would be 440 days. That is actually, you can go back and check. And that's when at 444 days, that's when all the protests began, particularly in Cuba. So that's the time. And then I think Europe started protesting like crazy as well, too. Then now there's like 1 million people in the streets and things. So all the protests started at 444.
Okay.
And so now we are going up and we're at this weekend will be at July 25, the yellow arrow. That's at 60 degrees or 60 days.
We're in the compass right now. We're at day 60 coming up this weekend. Is there a delay that's happening? Is that what you think? Or do you think things are happening behind the scenes that we're just not aware of yet? Where do you think we are at day 60 here? Has there been that transfer moment where things break loose and we just aren't aware of it yet? Or is that still to come?
Okay, so to best answer your question, we've read this before. Go to page 2, Noah. Go to page 2. Let's read that. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that the captives will be released and the prisoners will be freed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, this year 2021. And this is the key here, and the day of his vengeance of God, the day of vengeance of God, to comfort all who mourn. So the day of vengeance. Let's go back to chart page 1. So to answer your question, right? We are waiting for the day. Remember the Red Sea moment, okay? It didn't take a week, a year. It took one day, maybe a handful of hours for the Red Sea to part. Israel crosses the Red Sea closes, Pharaoh's army is destroyed, game over, 24 hours.
Right.
That's it. We are waiting for the day of God's vengeance. That will be the day of glory. We are about to experience the glory. And so when could it happen? Okay, so no one knows the day or the hour. No one knows the day or the hour. Just like the return of Christ. No one knows the return day or the hour. It's stated in the Bible 3 times, I believe. Okay, but it doesn't say no one knows the month, no one knows the year. It's day or the hour. And I've stated that before. So now, when could the day or the hour be? Without knowing it, but you can look at the clock and let's look at past events. So July 25th is this weekend. We're coming up to, and that will be day 60. At day 80 would be 1 year from when Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. Let me read the statement of August 15th,
50 years
1971.
ago. Yep.
50 years ago. Okay, so that takes us to Leviticus 25, 9, 10, which talks about the year of Jubilee. So the year of Jubilee, we are in it right now. And the year technically, if you look at from August 15th of 71, that would end August 15th of 21. And so at 90 degrees, that takes us to the 24th of August. And then you want to go 100 degrees, that takes us to the official start of year 51, because Rosh Hashanah, which is the holiest day of the year, would be September 6th, and that starts the new year, the head of the year. So September 6th starts year 51, right? So anywhere in the next 40 days, from 60 days this weekend to 100 days, the new year begins. So there's only 40 days left technically in the biblical year. There's really only 20 days left from Nixon detaching gold.
That's when you see the big change. That's the fall of the dollar, the change in the financial
So the
system.
dollar is Goliath. The financial system, the dollar is Goliath. Goliath must fall. So Nixon created a new economic plan, and on the eve of August 15th, 1971, addresses the nation on a new economic policy that not only was intended to correct the balance of payments, but also stave off inflation and lower the unemployment rate. The first order was for the gold window to be closed. Foreign governments could no longer exchange their dollar or their dollars for gold. In effect, the international monetary system turned into a fiat money system. So the point being is that event allowed the ones in charge to create money to infinity. And that is what they've been doing. That is why then there was the word trillion was a never heard of word.
Right.
Because no one knew what that was in 71. You barely even heard the word billion, okay? I don't think, everyone spoke of millions, that was the key. If you were a millionaire in the 70s, my goodness, now the millionaires are becoming trillionaires. That's really where things are headed. And so that's where they've arrived at, not even headed. Since you're on this page here at 23, Noah, let's just talk about that for a second, right? The dollar is what's propping everything up. This is Goliath, page 23.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a target, minimum initial target in the 80s, low 80s.
Wow.
So it's about to turn and then plunge. And so that's the fall. When it begins to fall, everything that's non-dollar based, such as gold and silver, which is the opposite side of the dollar, and cryptocurrencies, they do a vertical move. That's what's coming, is the exact opposite. It's the fall of the world's reserve currency, Goliath. That's what's critical. If the dollar plunges, then faith is confidence is removed in the money system that's been used for generations. And then God's money becomes the money that the world wants.
And you're saying we could see this start to happen within the next 20, 30 days.
Right. So please go back to page 1 and let's answer that question specifically. Well, this weekend's the 25th. We're at 60 days. 20 days more, and we complete the 50-year pattern from Nixon. So 20 days. And I would say, looking at my chart patterns, that we're going to see that moment before August 15th. So the day or the hour, no one knows, but I would suspect the day or the hour is going to arrive before August 15th. That'd be the Jubilee. So we're within 20 days of crazy going down. 20 days of all hell breaking loose on the elite. So, this will be the greatest moment. This will be God's glory moment where the financial scales tip. God's money is not fiat. It's God's money, gold and silver. And, we're expected to have a handle breakout here if you look at my 40-year chart on page 25. And then it just goes up, up, up and away. But it's going to be related to the day of his vengeance, the day of glory. It's a day of glory for the world. All we need is one day. Just like the Red Sea moment, it was one day. So that one day is expected, I would say, within the next 20 days, based on page 1, what I'm showing you. Wow. And no more than 40 days, because that would be the start of the next year, if we're looking at the biblical cycle. So the Nixon time point no more than would be 20 days from this weekend. And the biblical cycle technically would end at Rosh Hashanah, which would be the start of September. So that'd be September 6th. So that'd be 40 days out. So I would say within the next 10 days, we could see things start to trigger no later than 20 days. And then we're just going to see price explosions vertically for things that are not fiat. Jamie Dimon,
Right.
last year, wasn't he saying last year that anybody in his company, that trades or owns crypto is going to get fired? Remember that one?
Yes, he did.
Right. What did he say yesterday? High-end clients that are in Chase can now start buying any and virtually all cryptocurrencies. That starts like immediately, from what I understand, or very soon. So they can now get involved in cryptocurrencies. So that was a 180-degree shift, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I saw that today.
Everything that was poo-pooed last year to keep people out of the game is now automatically, oh, no, that's on the table now. Oh, really? How does that work? So that's on the table, but last year, how dare one of my employees be involved in that? Like, are you kidding me?
Right. Well, Bo, getting back to silver has been under $30 an ounce for what seems like forever. When you're talking about breaking out, I mean, what are we looking at? Are we looking at getting up and close to $100 an ounce, or what do you where do you think we see this thing go if it really breaks out?
Well, I can tell you this, okay? That's where you go into the Bible and you look at what damages are. So what have these people done? For generations, they've basically manipulated God's money. That's what they've done. They've manipulated God's money. And when you do that, you have to pay damages. So biblically, damages are sevenfold, virtually immediately, which means that in a short window of time, whether it's a few months, but not a few years, a few months, we should expect to see sevenfold on silver.
Wow.
From current prices. So if I pull out a calculator, say $25 times 7, so that's $175. That's damages.
Wow.
So, is that going to be tomorrow? No. Soon? Yes. Because they're damages. That's what has to be paid. And then after that, God provides blessings for his church. That would be 30, 60, or up to 100-fold. So at some point, we're going to see multiplication numbers like that on precious metal and God's money. So again, I'm not giving timelines. I have the cycle patterns. I know when gold is running up to. I know roughly what year it tops out at. And so at those time points, we'll see what the numbers are. When it takes out 50, I promise you it's not going to be at $50 next year or the year after. It's going to be much, multiples higher of that.
Wow.
And just because the fiat system, Goliath falls.
Even something like copper is suddenly becoming a lot harder to buy at low prices.
No, absolutely. You're right. Copper is, again, it's created by God, just like platinum and palladium, they're going to have value too. Why? Because they're not fiat, right? It's just that, the ultimate metal, if you look at page 26 prophetically, this is the ultimate metal to hone. You believe in Christ, if you believe in God, if you believe in the financial shift that's about to hit the world, this is a prophetic word from God given to Lois Vogel Sharp. I've read this before. Gold goes off the charts. That means extremely high. Okay, it just literally explodes and goes off the charts. But silver becomes a new item of economic security that opens a new door of luxury to those who have attained this precious metal. Not my words, those are prophetic words of God. So that is the metal to own for events that are coming upon the earth.
Yeah, very interesting. And Bo, I think you know Cliff High as well, or at least have seen some of his work. And dating back to at least 2016, maybe earlier, Cliff was saying his research, and Cliff has a different view of the world, I think, than some of us do. We don't agree with everything both ways, but Cliff has been saying for years that silver eventually goes to $600 an ounce, and people laughed at him when he said it, but it's starting to look not all too crazy anymore.
Well, first off, Cliff, very, very smart man. You cannot take that from him, okay? Very smart man. In the Bible, God's word shall not go void. What does his research do? Picks up linguistics, words.
Yes, it does.
Well, what do prophets do? They speak.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You get it?
Yep.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Very smart man. And, I do know specifically give him credit for, right? He has silver at $600 shortly after these events go down. Well, how do you get silver at $600? Well, do the math, right? Damages are already 175. You think 175 is going to stop? No, because then you got blessings afterwards, right? So easy $600, $600 on silver, not even a problem. So people hear, but don't listen. That's just not everybody. There's many people that are awake, right? A lot of what we're speaking, Noah, it rhymes with people's spirits. And also what we're speaking of does not rhyme with people's spirits. You get what I'm saying? So,
I do.
And like I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, a very good friend of old, right? From many years ago. God loves his church. He loves his people. He loves his creation, right? He loves his creation. Christ at some point returns, okay? God is not going to have Christ return when his church, or majority of or half his church, is lost in the wilderness, okay? He's going to first knock everybody to their knees, especially the ones that are lukewarm. Literally knock them this is going to be traumatic, okay? The bride's going to fall. This is what's coming, going to be very traumatic for a lot of people. And then there's going to be, that come to Jesus moment, come to God moment. We're going to see people praying to God because of what just went down. But he has to knock people down so he can raise them. And I've stated that numerous times in prior interviews. One nation under God will fall. Only then will it be reborn to shine once again as a beacon of light for all the world to see. The fall is coming. We've talked about this in the pre-interview, but remember that prophecy of Kim Clement?
Oh, yes.
Now, this is really awesome in terms of time. When did he do it? What year was that prophecy?
And Bo, you're talking about the one where he goes through the seasons, and then there's a specific point in time where he's talking about many will fall in the fall.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was back in 2014, wasn't it?
Correct. The key to my analysis is biblical time analysis relative to the cycle of Daniel. Daniel's prophetic timeline is 7-year window. Go back 7 years from 2021 right now, and you're at 2014. Coincidence? There are no coincidences in the Bible. Okay. So let's listen to that prophecy. And I think you're going to be stunned at what you hear. And then we're going to talk about this cycle on page 1 of 180 days. Let's have a listen to the prophecy. I think it will shock many of your listeners. So here it is.
Summer, take it. For thus says the Lord, I will prosper my people. And during the fall there shall be many that shall fall, and many that shall rise from the dust. The earth is standing prepared. I shall take it, for the summer shall bring forth much in the temperatures. Strange July, hypnotic November, and oh Christmas, where winter shall say, and me, I will make them happy. For God says, I have chosen each season to manifest something. My will shall be done, and it shall come to pass that I shall bring sign after sign, and in the fall, that which comes down is that which was able to be shaken, and I will build and release the resources, and in the fall will show you whom I have chosen to pray for and guide this nation. You shall rejoice, for it is my man. It is my chosen David, says the Lord.
That, of course, is the incomparable Kim Clement.
How wonderful is that? 7 years ago, speaking of 2021, we are here. The prophecy was a 7-year prophecy relating to the year 2021.
Yes, no. When that was given, no one knew what year he was talking about, but it sure looks like we're in it.
Let's have a look at what he's saying, okay? So July 25th is this weekend. We're coming into the Nixon moment, which is August 15th. So within 20 days, we should expect chaos. By the time we get to 90 degrees or 90 days, August 24th, that will be where everything, that is like the delineating time point where you just can't hide the truth anymore, and it's out. And so that would then take us into now the tilt, the 91 degrees, 91 days takes us into the end of August. Then we get into the new year beginning on September 6th, September 7th, a year 51. And this is where it gets interesting because we're still in summer. When does summer end? September 23rd. I made this chart without even knowing that. I went to go check, when summer ends, and it's actually September 23rd at 120 days.
And then, of course, fall begins.
Right. And in the fall, they fall.
He said the exposure will be great. From the crown of England to the seat of Rome, says the Lord, from the sheiks in the Middle East to the rich and famous in the West, from the oligarchs in Russia to the land barons in America, and everywhere in between.
So between September, it takes us all the way into December. And what did he say? Hypnotic November. Why would November be hypnotic? Well, because it's 180 degrees on November 22nd, 180 days. The hypnotic November is because the world is now hypnotized by what just happened. They can't believe that all these people have fallen, the truth is out, and it's pandemonium. So that's really what we're seeing. And then December, it's just going to be absolutely crazy. But on top of that, he says specifically, this is going to be a joyous Christmas coming in December. And again, Thanksgiving, supposed to be the greatest Thanksgiving in history. Thanksgiving into Christmas is supposed to be pretty spectacular. And then what did he say at the very end? This is cool. The world will see who my David is.
I wanted to ask you about that.
You got to love that, right? This is, everybody wants to know, when does 45 come back, right? Kim Clement stated prophetically that my David, the world will know who my David is in fall, which means that we will know between September 23rd and the end of December, David returns. So based on the prophecy, David returns, 45 returns in 2021 this year.
That is the best news I have heard all day, Bo.
And then, why do you need him to return? Please look at the bottom left. After you're at 180 days, we start the rebuilding process in the new era. So we have to go backwards. So basically, we have to undo everything that was done, start all over again. We're starting all over again. It's like everything went wrong. We got to go back to what was done wrong. We're starting all over again. Now we're in the new era, new financial system, new political system, new educational system starts coming online. And we go 180 days forward into May 21, 2022 to complete the 360-day cycle. Who is with us during those 180 days, or at least the majority of those 180 days? Who's the builder? David. Right. David, without saying the name, 45.
Right. That's exactly right. If you're going to rebuild, you need a builder.
You need the builder. And so prophetically, Kim Clement stated that the builder returns in fall. Wow. So that would be before winter begins. And I believe that's December 21st. So the builder returns in fall.
Wow.
So exciting. That's what I can tell you. Go ahead.
No, this is great. Let me see if I can sum this up and see if I'm understanding it. So we're in this compass right now. We are coming up on day 60. We are in the compass. We haven't yet seen the breakthrough. We haven't yet seen the shift. We've been looking for it.
The day of vengeance. The day of vengeance. The glory. The day of glory for the world.
We have been looking for that day, and it hasn't hit yet. But when we get closer to day 90, towards the top of that compass, maybe that's a crescendo moment, somewhere around there of things starting to break loose. Undeniable by the time we get into the fall. People are falling left and right, big names, and maybe some of the names that you've heard us publish from other prophetic voices. That's the window for when that's going to happen. And then by the time we hit the end of fall, we head into Thanksgiving, most of it is done. This is done. Then we start the rebuilding.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. And more importantly, Isaiah 61 moment, the day of vengeance, would happen sometime between this weekend into and before, my best guess, into and before August 15th. So that's what we should expect in the next 20 days are supposed to be when we see the glory. of God on this earth. And that's going to be something we've all been waiting for.
And Bo, when that happens, we're going to know it. It's not like I'm going to have to call you up and say, was this it, Bo? When you see it, you're going to know.
That's my point. When the Red Sea parted, did people know?
Yeah.
I don't think everyone, could you imagine being there in that moment in time, right? There's moments in time when God acts and no one misses it. God hasn't moved. He hasn't come from his throne and moved in generations. This is going to be like one of the greatest moments in time. So it's supposed to be epic. All I can say. I don't know no one knows what it's going to be, because God specifically will never reveal what his day or hour is and what the event is, so that Satan or evil cannot make a counter.
Yeah, very good. So it hasn't happened yet. It's not like we're going to look back on this and Bo's going to come on the show and say, oh, well, actually it was, something did happen back then. No, it hasn't happened yet. We are in the midst of it. We are looking for that event. Bo is telling us it's imminent. If he's right, we are in for a whirlwind of a next 2, 3, 4 months.
Absolutely, no. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love how the time window that I got and how it relates to a 360-degree circle or a protractor, 180 degrees, how it all ties in with time. And then just when you layer that in with the prophecy of Kim Clement, that is mind-boggling. That's all I can tell you. It's crazy.
Well, Bo, we talked a lot about God's money, gold and silver, already today, but we haven't talked much about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I know you always have a lot to say about that, and you run a newsletter that focuses exclusively on that and the time cycles of those. Are you still looking for a vertical Bitcoin coming in, or has anything changed on that front? Why don't you fill us in on what you're expecting to see there?
Nothing's changed, and we're going to have a moment in time where it just goes crazy. And so you're either going to be in or you miss the boat. Here, it's going to be that's the train is just, when it goes, it's going to shoot out of station, and that's it. So those that are scared and don't hold any because they're afraid are going to hugely miss the boat of what's about to happen. And when it takes off, it's going to take off like we've never seen before. It's going to be a rocket vertical is what's about to happen here. So it's really exciting what's coming. The key to the cryptocurrencies, there's a bunch. Bitcoin is like the godfather of cryptocurrencies, and that one's going to have a very strong year still. But it's hard for it to make life-changing financial moves for people if they don't hold enough of it. And it's hard to buy a lot of it at $30,000 plus, right? So there's alternate coins that are going to, as great as Bitcoin is going to go, some of the key alternate coins that we have in our report, man, when these things go, they're going to do thousands fold relative to what Bitcoin is going to do. And that's going to be, financially historic for a lot of people. So really exciting 2021 still this year. And it's directly related to the fall of Goliath. Goliath is going to fall. God's money is going to rise, gold and silver. And as much as cryptos are not God's money, what they are is they have finite amounts. They're not, what that means is Bitcoin's got 21 million, period, with an exclamation point. So you can't make more of it. That is what gives Bitcoin and some of these and many of these cryptocurrencies value, is the fact that there are finite, limited amounts of them. And our world is going to go digital. And when the world goes digital, that's going to be the new monetary system. So I wrote, it's the new digital money instrument of the world. And that's why Jamie Dimon is now making it available to his high-end clients.
Right.
It's always been in the plan. They just didn't want people to know about it last year or year before. Because if they got in, people would have been buying it at $200-$300, at $1, at $10, at $1,000. Now they're telling people at $33,000.
Well, Bo, you've been telling people in your reports to buy it back at those lower levels, and there's a history of your reports going back online that you've been shouting it from the rooftops. So, but big news here. You're saying it's not done yet. It's still going way higher. Bo, one question we always get whenever we talk about Bitcoin, people say, what is Bo talking about? That isn't God's money. And to a certain extent, they're right, aren't they? That this is not the long range solution, but it is for a time period. If you don't want to miss the boat, like you just said, this is where you need to be. And then the ultimate transition is into gold and silver. Is that a fair statement?
I've always stated crystal clear, to be only invested in cryptocurrency is a huge, huge mistake. Period. If you're going to be invested in the new monetary system that's coming online, you know, gold and silver are God's money. You should put your faith in God and his money. Okay. However, the cryptocurrencies are going to run faster and harder and sooner than gold and silver. So to be involved in the cryptocurrency, nothing wrong with it. It just ultimately years down the road, you don't want to be involved in cryptocurrencies years down the road. Why? Because, you know, it's going to be tied in ultimately with the beast system that's coming online. But the beast system, again, what do I do? I'm an analyst at time. Okay. The beast system is not coming online next year. So people need to kind of relax a little bit and stop freaking out about the beast system. It's not coming online just yet. And when that time coin's coming, trust me, I'll give you if you go to my chart, it's already in there, but we're still years out from that happening. So if you want to be a part of the financial shift, well, that's how you do it. Dollar's going to shift into something. You need to figure out what it is, and it's pretty obvious what it's going to be. We've talked about it. So if you want to be a part of financial shift, then cryptocurrencies, gold and silver, are going to be the huge winners.
Well, there you go. So that's a comment I always read it below the video. Someone has to post about Bo just wants to get us locked into the beast system. Bo's aware of it. Bo is very aware of it. He is telling you absolutely to be in gold and silver, God's money. And so there you go.
People think that Christ is returning tomorrow at the same time too. He's not, okay? We are so far from Christ's return because we are so blemished right now. Many people in this world are so far from being Christ-like at this moment in time. So we have to have this massive spiritual awakening still to come. And we are so far from that. So anybody who thinks that Christ is returning tomorrow is going to be sadly mistaken, because he's not coming tomorrow. He's not coming this year. He's still years out. And so there's a lot of time between that time point. And so you're going to be on this earth. You have a choice on this earth. Are you going to be like stuck with no choices in life? Or do you want to be on this earth stuck still, but with many choices in life? And if you have many choices in life, you can make a lot of financial decisions, personal, for yourself, and most importantly, your family. Because that's critical. That's really important, because no one's going away really quickly unless, God, takes us away. If you're waiting for Christ's return, it's not any immediate future. Evil is going to fall. Then we get a window of time for God's bride to grow and mature. And then evil comes back with a new color, a new name. What you're seeing right now comes back with a new color, a new name. And then that's going to be the rise of the beast system. But this system is going to get knocked down first. What's going on is going to get knocked down. We get a window because God's gracious. He's going to give us his grace. And then evil returns. When that point happens, then you want to be out of cryptos and you want to be fully gold and silver. But by that time, you should already be prepared for things that are coming upon the earth, as stated in Isaiah 26. That's the point of the arcs in the future. Go behind closed doors for a little while my indignation pours down on this earth. So you need to be set up before the indignation pours down on this earth. Right now, the words are critical. So if you go to page 2, it's a day of vengeance that's coming. It's not the wrath. And the wrath is the indignation. That's what's coming in the future. That's what you need to be prepared for. Okay, so the day of vengeance is not the wrath or indignation. It's the day of vengeance. That's where God basically avenges is mine, saith the Lord. So he's going to stop these people. But then the bottom line is you still have indignation coming upon the earth, as stated in Isaiah 26.
Yeah. We have about 3 minutes left, and you're always so gracious with your time, and really appreciate you being on here with us today. I want to go to this slide here at the end before we wrap up with you. It looks like we are about to have a wild few months and a lot of twists and a lot of turns. I always want to tell the people about your newsletter that you run, a business that you run, but you always tell people, hey, this is for the people that want the active trading information, the active advice. If you want to know what's going on, tune into this thing. If not, just go buy some cryptocurrency if that's what you want to do. Bo is not a financial advisor. He's just telling you what he's seeing. But if Bo, for the people who want some of that detailed advice, and like you said, if Bitcoin may not be the best one to be in, there may be some other ones that are going to do a lot better and traditionally have done a lot better even than the big moves of Bitcoin. So tell them a little bit about the service you provide and And then you've got a discount form if they want to use promo code WLT49. They can save 50% off of their purchase. But tell them about that.
Right. So within our Bitcoin index, we cover Bitcoin cycle because Bitcoin's the granddaddy. So it shows the patterns of what Bitcoin's doing. But then within that chart, we cover a dozen other coins, alternate coins, of which 3 or 4 are my absolute favorites. And these coins have done exponential moves relative to Bitcoin and are going to this year still make exponential price gains relative to what Bitcoin is going to do. So if you want some of the key coins you'll be invested in, get the Bitcoin index. We cover specific coins, which I think are just going to be the absolutely incredible coins for this year. And then those who do not know anything about cryptocurrency and you just want to get involved, very inexpensive, but there's we call Help My Son Create an Easy Crypto School. Basically shows you from A to Z how to buy, move around, and ultimately store safely your cryptocurrencies of choice. So that's very inexpensive, to learn how to do it if you have zero clue on how to get involved in cryptocurrency. Like they say, the stars are aligning. Well, that's the moment in time we are at, and it's crunch time right now. If you look at page 1, we are within 20 days of, and it's sooner potentially rather than even that, but we are in a crunch window right now of potentially no more than 20 days, maximum 40 days for just glory to appear on this earth. And when it arrives, we're all going to know.
Yes, I love the sound of that. Well, Bo, thank you so much for being here. I know you have to get to another meeting. We thank you for making time to come on the show, and it is always so much fun talking with you. And it's going to be really fun to watch some of this stuff happen. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to shake some people that aren't ready for it, but that's why I appreciate you coming on the show to tell people in advance what to expect and to not be scared, to not be worried, but to be ready for it and to be prepared. So we really appreciate you doing that. That's a tremendous thing you do, and we're just look forward to having you on next time.
Thanks, Noah. God bless you and your family. And I really do hope, and it does shake people up because many people need to be shaken up to be waking up to the truth. But again, God's a loving God. Whatever does go down or happen here, fear not, for God the Father and his Son, Jesus Christ, are in complete control.
That's the perfect end. Thank you, Bo. We'll see you next time.